Today, we are going to present our laboratory activity about the principles of casting and molding used in shoe print impression in forensic investigation. So here, we have the basin, and we have here our shoe box, known sample, and varnish. And here we have our spray bottle, sticks, yarn, ruler, sticky notes, scissors, push pins, spatula, brush, tire wire, and dental stone. We also have here our cling film. So this is all the materials we needed. For our crime scene scenario, we imagine a robbery case where the perpetrator entered an area and accidentally left a shoe impression on the ground while escaping from the crime scene. Because the shoe print was found on soft soil, the investigators immediately secured the area to avoid contamination or destruction of the evidence. In real forensic investigations, footprints can provide important information about the suspect, such as shoe size, movement, direction, and even unique characteristics that can later be compared with the suspect's footwear. The first procedure performed at the crime scene was proper photography and documentation of the evidence. The photographer carefully photographed the entire crime scene and focused on the shoe impression left by the perpetrator. Pictures were taken using long-range, mid-range, and close-up views. The long-range photograph showed the overall location of the evidence within the crime scene. The mid-range photograph showed the relationship between the shoe impression and nearby objects, while the close-up photograph captured the detailed patterns and characteristics of the footprint. Proper crime scene photography is important because it preserves the original appearance of the evidence before collection and serve as permanent documentation for investigation and court presentation. Examination and measurement of the shoe impression. After the documentation process, the investigator carefully examined the shoe impression. Evidence stands were placed beside the footprint to properly identify and mark the evidence. The investigator then measured the dimension of the shoe impression. The width measured approximately 3.7 centimeters, while the length measured around 10.3 centimeters. Measuring the footprint is important in forensic investigation because it helps determine the size and possible type of shoe used in the perpetrator. This measurement may later be compared with the footprint of suspects during laboratory examination. Application of varnish. After the examination and measurement, the investigators sprayed varnish onto the shoe impression. The varnish acted as a protective coating to strengthen the preserve and the fragile details of the footprint before the casting material was applied. This step is important because loose soil can easily collapse or lose detail when the dental stone is poured directly onto the impression. By applying the varnish first, the investigators were able to preserve the small and delicate details of the shoe print. Preparation of the casting area. Once the varnish dried, we prepare the casting area by placing the cardboard supported with sticks on the four corners around the backs. These serve as a stabilizer and frame from the casting material. The purpose of this setup was to prevent the dental stone from spreading outside the impression area and to maintain the proper shape and thickness of the cast. Proper stabilization is important to ensure that the final cast will accurately preserve the details of the footprint. Mixing and pouring the dental stone. After preparing the casting area, my group mates mixed the dental stone with hot water. The mixture was stirred properly for about 1 minute to achieve the correct consistency before pouring. Once ready, the dental stone mixture was carefully poured onto the shoe impression. We also placed the tire-shaped material formed as a square with the same size as the shoe impression to support the casting process. Another layer of mixed dental stone was added to strengthen the casting. The casting process must be done carefully because improper pouring may damage the details of the footprint. Dental stone is commonly used in forensic science because it creates a durable and accurate replica of the impression. Marking and drying of the cast. While the dental stone was still slightly soft, we place our date and initials of our group on the cast for proper identifications and documentation. Labeling evidence is an important part of forensic procedure because it helps maintain the integrity and identification of evidence throughout the investigation process. Afterward, the cast was allowed to dry and harden completely before removal. Cleaning and lifting of the cast. Once the cast was ready to be lifted, we carefully remove it from the soil and clean it using water and a brush to remove the remaining soil attached to the cast. Cleaning the cast allowed the detailed patterns and characteristics of the shoe impression to become more visible. Proper handling during this stage is important because rough cleaning may damage the preserved details of the evidence. The final cast showed the exact replica of the footprint left simulated crime scene. Upon examination, we observed that the shoe print did not contain highly unique individual characteristics such as cuts, damages, or unusual wear patterns. However, several identifiable class characteristics were still visible, including the neutral pronation pattern, the brand name impression, and the stitching marks found on the sole of the shoe. Identification of shoe print characteristics. After cleaning the cast, we proceeded to identify and describe the characteristics of the shoe print. We examined the soil patterns, grooves, shape, and individual markings visible on both the original shoe impression and the dental stone cast. We then compared the casted impression with the actual shoe used in the activity. This comparison demonstrated how forensic investigators connect evidence found at a crime scene to a possible suspect. Unique characteristics such as the wear patterns or damages on the shoe sole may serve as the identifying features in strengthening the connection between the suspect and the crime scene. Importance of the activity in forensic investigation. This activity taught us the importance of the proper evidence collection, preservation, and documentation in forensic investigation. Shoe impressions are valuable pieces of physical evidence because they can help investigators identify suspects and reconstruct criminal events. Through proper casting and molding the techniques, investigators can preserve fragile evidence destroyed. The activity also taught us the importance of teamwork, patience, accuracy, and proper handling of evidence. Small mistakes may affect the quality and reliability of the forensic examination. Overall, these experiments help us understand how scientific methods are used in solving crimes and supporting the pursuit of justice. Conclusion. In conclusion, our activity successfully demonstrated the proper procedures in documenting, preserving, and casting shoe impressions using dental stone. We learned how investigators photographed, measure, protect, cast, clean, and analyze footprint evidence found at a crime scene. The activity also helped us appreciate the importance of forensic science in criminal investigation and how impression evidence can become a strong tool in identifying and linking suspects to crimes. Through this experiment, we gained knowledge and practical experience regarding the role of casting, molding in forensic investigations. This is the materials needed for macro-etching procedure. First, we have here our film carbon, our Oslo paper, pencil, and scotch tape, motorcycle chassis, and engine number area. Each material had an important role during the examination. Crime scene scenario. For our scenario, we imagine a case where a motorcycle was stolen by a known suspect. During the investigation, authorities recovered the motorcycle, but the chassis number and engine number had been partially erased or tampered with to hide the identity of the vehicle. Because of this, forensic investigators were tasked to restore the hidden markings in order to identify the motorcycle and determine its rightful owner. In real investigations, criminals often alter serial numbers to avoid detection and make stolen vehicles difficult to trace. However, forensic science provides methods that can recover these markings and help investigators solve vehicle theft cases. Macro-etching procedure. After documenting the motorcycle, we proceeded to the macro-etching process on the chassis number and engine number. The first step was cleaning the metal surface carefully to remove dirt, rust, paint, or any material that could interfere with the examination. We used sandpaper to smooth the area and expose the surface where the serial number was originally stamped. This step was important because the hidden markings beneath the metal surface can only be restored if the area is properly prepared. Once the surface was cleaned, the etching solution was carefully applied to the chassis and engine number area using cotton. The chemical reaction between solution and the metal surface gradually revealed the original serial numbers that had been altered or removed. During the procedure, we carefully observed the changes appearing in the surface because the restored markings may slowly become visible. Proper handling and patience were necessary during this stage because excessive application of chemicals may damage the evidence. Importance in forensic investigation. This activity taught us the importance of macro-etching in forensic vehicle investigation. Through this process, investigators can restore hidden or erased serial numbers and identify stolen vehicles. The chassis number and the engine number serve as the permanent identifiers that can help authorities trace ownership and verify vehicle records. Even if criminals attempt to remove these markings, the forensic science allows investigators to recover important evidence that can connect the vehicle to criminal activity. This method is valuable in solving cases involving stolen motorcycles, illegal vehicle trading, and falsification of vehicle documents. The activity also taught us the importance of proper evidence handling, observation, and scientific examination during investigations. Macro-etching requires accuracy, patience, and careful application of chemicals because the restored markings are delicate and may disappear if mishandled. Through this experiment, we understood how forensic techniques are applied in real criminal investigations to support law enforcement and the pursuit of justice. Conclusion. In conclusion, our laboratory activity demonstrated the proper procedure in restoring chassis numbers and engine numbers using macro-etching. We learned how forensic investigators identify stolen vehicles by recovering erased or altered serial numbers. The activity helped us understand the importance of vehicle identification, evidence in criminal investigation, and showed us how forensic science contributes to solving motor vehicle theft cases. Overall, these experiments enhance our knowledge and appreciation of forensic method used in identifying and tracing stolen vehicles.